Blame bias, also known as attribution bias, is a common cognitive bias that refers to the tendency to attribute negative events or outcomes to external factors, such as other people or circumstances, while attributing positive events or outcomes to internal factors, such as personal qualities or abilities. This bias can have a significant impact on how we perceive and interact with the world around us, as well as on our mental health and well-being. One of the most common examples of blame bias is the tendency to blame others for our own mistakes or shortcomings. For instance, if we fail to meet a deadline at work, we may blame our coworkers or external circumstances, rather than accepting responsibility for our own actions or lack of preparation. This type of blame bias can be particularly damaging in professional settings, as it can lead to a breakdown in trust and communication, and hinder effective teamwork. Blame bias can also play a role in how we perceive and interact with people from different backgrounds or cultures. For example, if someone from a different cultural background behaves in a way that we find unfamiliar or offensive, we may be more likely to attribute their behavior to their culture or ethnicity, rather than considering other factors such as individual personality. This type of blame bias can lead to stereotyping and prejudice, and can have negative consequences for interpersonal relationships and social harmony. Another way in which blame bias can affect our mental health is through its impact on our self-esteem and self-worth. If we consistently attribute our successes to external factors, such as luck or circumstance, rather than our own skills or efforts, we may begin to doubt our own abilities, and feel a sense of helplessness or hopelessness. On the other hand, if we consistently blame ourselves for negative outcomes, we may develop feelings of guilt or shame, which can contribute to depression and anxiety. This bias can also be influenced by the social and cultural contexts in which we live. For instance, in some cultures, it may be more acceptable to attribute success or failure to external factors, such as luck or fate, rather than personal qualities or efforts. In other cultures, individuals may be expected to take full responsibility for their actions, regardless of external circumstances. Understanding and being mindful of these cultural differences can help us to avoid making snap judgments or assumptions based on our own cultural biases. Blame bias can also have a significant impact on our relationships with others. When we consistently blame others for negative outcomes or shortcomings, we may become more critical and less empathetic toward them. This can create a vicious cycle of blame and conflict, which can be difficult to resolve without a shift in perspective or a willingness to take responsibility for our own actions. On the other hand, when we take responsibility for our own mistakes or shortcomings, we can build trust and respect with others, and create a more positive and collaborative dynamic in our relationships. So, how can we overcome blame bias and develop a more balanced and accurate perception of ourselves and the world around us? One approach is to practice mindfulness and self-awareness, which can help us to recognize and challenge our own biases and automatic thought patterns. By becoming more aware of our own tendencies to attribute blame, we can learn to take a more objective and balanced view of situations and take responsibility for our own actions and choices. Ultimately, overcoming blame bias requires a willingness to take a step back and reflect on our own thought processes and biases, and a commitment to ongoing self-improvement and growth. By developing a more balanced and objective view of ourselves and the world around us, we can build stronger relationships, achieve greater success, and lead happier and more fulfilling lives. That is all about the blame bias. Do like, share and subscribe to our channel, Explified.